afternoon. This is our Boost to Therapy interview podcast with Ashley Spaulding. You're welcome to give a brief introduction.
All right. My name is Ashley Spaulding. I have a Master of Arts in Speech Language Pathology, and I've been practicing for about 4 years.
All righty, so you have a master's in what?
Speech Language Pathology?
All righty, and you also have a military background as well.
I do.
All righty, and what branch?
The Army.
Yeah, so I decided to choose you for my podcast interview because I felt that you were an inspirational woman and I wanted people to find out more about you. So let's just break into it. From Boost to Therapy.
All right.
Boost to Therapy is a powerful phrase. Can you walk us through the moment when you realized your mission was shifting from military service to the world of speech language pathology?
That's actually a hard question, but I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability here. But I think being in the Army, what do they say? It's like a selfless act, and you basically give back to your country. In post-military, I decided I still wanted to give back and make a difference in lives. So the best way I thought to do that to make a huge impact was to go into the field of speech language pathology. I had never heard of the field before, so I decided to research it first. And after thorough research, I'm like, you know what? This fits my lifestyle. It fits what I stand for, and I can make a huge impact. So I'll give a little breakdown of what speech language pathologists do first, so it can help the understanding of others. Because typically people think, oh, they just work with R's. They just work with kids who stutter. But we are so much more than that. We actually work with AAC devices, which stands for Augmentative Alternative Communication. So in short, just think about those devices people use with eye gaze or those tablets that people use to communicate with others.
Yes.
We work with what we call dysphagia, feeding and swallowing disorders.
Wow.
We help with diets with that. So for example, we're the ones who go in and we recommend NPO, which is nothing by mouth, or maybe a mixed soft diet or a regular diet, etc. And then we let the nurses and doctors know and the dietitian basically makes a diet within what we recommend. We also work with voice disorders. We also work with sign language. Not all therapists, but I do a little bit of sign. And we also work with cognition. So think cognition as in memory. So people with TBI, strokes, dementia, and we work with language disorders. So people who have, let's say, once again, stroke. So we kind of help with language. We work with written language. Our scope of practice is just large, and we also do speech, which entails like articulation disorders, fluency. Literally, the list goes on. I could sit here forever, but
It sounds
and
like
also
it's a lot. It's a lot of layers to the profession.
and we also work with oral rehabilitation, which is people with cochlear implants or hearing aids. So we kind of help with I guess, lip reading or just compensatory strategies for them to be able to interact with their world better. But like I said, I can go on forever, but that's the gist. And anyway, so back to the question, I feel like this field could help me make the impact that I've always wanted to make since I made that impact in the military as well, serving my country.
Yes, ma'am. I too am a military veteran as well, so I totally understand being selfless. So, how did your experience in the boots and the discipline structure and the teamwork prepare you for rigorous clinical environmental therapy?
Well, with that, so the program is very rigorous, very. And I would say the program didn't get rigorous until I was in the master's degree program because it's lots of deadlines you have to meet, lots of studying. It's just a lot of things you have to meet. And it can get complicated and stressful at times, but I did feel like the military prepared me for that because look at the training we endure while we're active duty.
I can totally
It's a lot.
understand.
So, and then also when I was going through school to receive my bachelor's degree, it was in the midst of COVID. So it was more so learning on your own without the professor really being present. So the discipline that you have to complete the assignments to meet deadlines is way different when you're showing up in person. So I also feel like my military experience did prepare me for that when it came to the discipline portion of it.
Okay, so of all the healthcare professions you could have entered after your service, what was it about the communication and speech that made you say, this is where I belong?
Well, that's a good question as well. So what's important to me post-military is flexibility. Flexibility because when you're active duty, you make a lot of sacrifices, being away from family, being on someone else's time. You never get to move to the beat of your own drum. That's the best way I like to put it. So we classify SLPs, which is speech language pathology, as like a rehab department, therapy department. In therapy, so whether it be occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, whatever type of therapy there is, you're not I wouldn't call it an essential worker. I would say you're more of an auxiliary supporter. So in other words, if someone doesn't see speech, occupation, or physical therapy, the patient isn't going to die.
Right.
Um, so it gives us that flexibility as therapists to make your own schedule because we also work across many different settings. So for example, we can work in a school setting, we can work in a hospital setting, a skilled nursing setting, outpatient clinic setting, etc. And with all those settings, what's the most coolest about it is you make your own schedule. You fit that within your lifestyle, which is good. So that's kind of how I chose that as well.
Okay, so you have a you like being able to make your own schedule, move at the beat of your own drum, less management, more so you on your own type of time.
Correct.
Okay, so why did you choose? And I'm getting that Our Lady of the Lake University was your bachelor's degree, but what made you choose the colleges that you chose? Like, was there anything specific that made you feel like this is the program that I'm gonna do? I mean, because I've read that Our Lady of the Lake University is a Christian-based school, so was it a faith thing, or did you just was that just what was near?
Okay, so I currently do reside in San Antonio, Texas. So with San Antonio, you're very limited on what schools you can go to pertaining to speech language pathology. So when you're receiving your bachelor's degree, um, it's actually called communication sciences and disorders.
Okay.
Very broad. So with that background specifically, it prepares you to go either the speech language pathology route or the audiology route. So with it not being any options as far as the bachelor's degree is concerned, that's why I chose Our Lady of the Lake. And it's actually a Catholic-based school. And I thought it was also unique because they incorporate basically spirituality and religion into your coursework to ensure that you're always ethical behind your clinical-based decisions. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, gaining a master's degree in language pathology is incredibly taxing. What is the most challenging unknown fact that you learned about the human voice or brain while studying at the colleges that you went to? Because I know you said you went to Our Lady of the Lake for your bachelor's, and what college was it for your master's?
So for my master's, I went to Calvin University out of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay. So what was the most challenging thing you learned about the human voice and the brain while studying at both of the universities?
Ooh, that's a hard question too, because we learned so much. So I guess the most interesting fact. Hmm. Well, one interesting fact that I can think of off the top of my head is whispering. So let's say you're hoarse. You know how when people are hoarse, how they try to whisper because they're thinking it saves their voice? Actually, it does just as much damage to your voice. So it's
Oh,
best to just not talk. And let me think of another interesting fact as far as voice is concerned. Um, I would say that if you're a chronic smoker, you can develop what we call nodules on your vocal folds. And it can actually cause you to have a raspy voice or maybe never even speak again because it can cause cancer. And another interesting fact that I learned that people never really talk about is a glossectomy. So we have what we call a partial glossectomy and a full glossectomy. And this is more so in the area of language articulation. So basically that means partial removal of a tongue or full removal of a tongue. And
hmm.
I've only had one patient like that. So I thought that was really interesting to know there's people out there that live like that, and we help train compensatory strategies when a person doesn't have their tongue. So I think those are pretty cool, interesting facts.
So, academic resilience. As a veteran student, you likely had a different perspective than your peers. How did the maturity help you navigate late nights and clinical practices required for your degree? Because I know you stated that the military kind of had you set up to where you're used to going from like, well, a fast-paced environment. So would you say that that is what assisted you in being able to complete these degrees?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That military discipline, that fast-paced environment in the military, I was just able to transfer that over and just keep it pushing because those deadlines and those timelines, it's critical. And it is fast-paced because for my master's degree specifically, the courses would start, first of all, it's like 72 credit hours in the master's degree. And some of those courses were 8 weeks long. So just imagine doing a full textbook, midterms, finals, in all a 8 week span, sometimes even 6 weeks, depending on the professor. So I feel like that helped prepare me for the fast pace and the things that I would endure in the master's degree program.
Okay. Practicing in Texas presents a unique set of challenges and opportunities. How has the diverse culture in Texas influenced the way you approach therapy with your clients?
It hasn't really impacted me yet. The only thing I have run into being in San Antonio specifically is there are a lot of people who are bilingual, so English and Spanish. So I have run into a lot of people who only speak Spanish, and I do not. So I would have to go find another SLP to either treat that patient or find an interpreter somewhere to help me meet the needs of that patient that is Spanish speaking. But I would say that's the only thing I've run into
Yeah,
as far as
I
that's
know
concerned.
Texas is kind of like the area where you would see a lot of Hispanics. So I figured that with you not speaking Spanish, that would become a challenge. But if you're going to pass it, if there's other Spanish speaking therapists, then it still works out for you. Is
Mhm.
there a specific success story in your early days of therapy, perhaps as a child's first words, or a patient recovered voice that confirmed you made the right career choice?
Oh, absolutely. I have so many success cases, and it's very rewarding to know. So I would say, okay, so for me, I work with a lot of kids who have autism, so language disorders. So my success stories are I go in the home, the child may not have any language whatsoever, and we break down language in two components: expressive language, which is what you put out, and receptive language, what you can understand. So I can go in a home with a child that has autism and the parents are like, hey, this is what's happening. He or she has no language. And then by the time I work with them, they're saying words or they're using, baby sign language or they're using AAC or PEX board or whatever the case is to get them communicating. So by the time I leave them, they're able to communicate their basic wants and needs. And the parents will reach out to me, letting me know this. Some have even called in literal tears and they were thanking me like, thank you so much. Like you really made an impact. And I thought my child would never speak. So.
That's great. I love that. I love that. Your goals of opening your own practice, or do you have goals of opening your own practice? What military grade values would you bring to build into the foundation if you did decide to open your own practice, or is that just something that you don't plan on uh investigating or moving forward with?
Yeah, I don't see myself opening my own practice at all. There's really no reason for that. Like I said, I'm all about work-life balance and flexibility. So I do feel like if I were to open up my own practice, once again, that would steer my flexibility into being more confined. Like I wouldn't have the flexibility I needed. So I don't know how to answer that question because I've never thought about it, considering I don't have any aspirations to want to open up my own practice.
Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with that because if you already have it flexible how you like it, then there's nothing wrong with that. When you look toward the end of your career, what do you want your legacy as boosted therapy professional to be? Is there a number of lives changed or doors open for you or for other veterans to follow in your footsteps? Do you have any uh legacies that you feel that you want to leave behind once you get close to your retirement?
Definitely lives change, and I would like to open the door for other veterans to let them know it's okay. Like, it would help to have diversity in that aspect of having more veterans in the field. So I would say those are the two things that I would want to see close to retirement and in retirement. Lives change and more veterans coming into the field to open up the diversity because you should see my patients in the skilled nursing facility, which are adults that are veterans. And I go in there, I'm like, yeah, I'm a veteran too. You should see how their faces light up. It's a whole different thing. They're like, oh, for real. And then it's a whole thing. And then I feel like I can connect with them on a better level. So,
All righty, ma'am. Well, this was Boots to Therapy, and my name is DeAndre Major. And thank you for taking time out to answer my interview questions. I know you're a busy woman and you probably got to get to another client. So we're going to wrap it up here. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience?
not at this time, but if anyone has any questions for me, they can always reach out. If they're interested in the field or learning more or want to know how much schooling it takes, I'm here. You can give them my email or I can provide my email. It's ash.spaulding, Spaulding at Yahoo. That's the best way to contact me. So if anyone has any questions, I'm here. Reach out. Or if they need a mentor, I'm here.
All righty, man. Well, thank you for taking time out to answer my interview questions. We'll be talking soon. And congratulations on receiving your bachelor's and master's. I think that you are doing a wonderful job.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All righty.
All right. Bye.